Well, I want to talk more about your teaching
Sure.
career. What has been your favorite part about teaching students?
Interestingly, I will teach a class of adult English second language students, and sometimes in that room, you have 15 or 20 different nationalities, different religions, different cultures, people whose countries are enemies. You know, Russian and Ukrainian students sitting next to each other, friends, getting along, and Muslim students, Christian students, Buddhist, Jewish, every possible mix, and everybody's friends, friends. They get along, and we sometimes we'll talk. Religion is variations on a theme. You visit your family, you bring gifts, you feast or you fast. You eat a lot of food or you eat no food. You pray to somebody. Why we all kill each other over this is insane, insane. And if you look throughout history, the number one cause of war has been religion. I have friends who are incredibly religious. I have friends who are atheist leaders. And you know what? They get along. They get along. You know, don't force your views on other people, and everything will be okay. And I my Achilles heel is xenophobia. I can't. I just don't like it, and I won't get into a whole political thing because inevitably you alienate half of your audience. But let me just put it this way. Immigrants built this country. If you go back far enough, your parents or grandparents or great grandparents were immigrants. My grandfather was a kosher butcher. One day, criminals came into the shop, robbed him, locked him in a freezer,
Mhm.
and he was literally dying, freezing to death in there until finally a customer came in and he's yelling, "Get me out, get me out." And the guy opened the door and freed him. My grandmother worked in a factory 100 years ago in New York, sewing, making clothing, and the needle on the sewing machine went through her hand and basically crippled her hand. And you know, immigrants were always used as cheap labor, and they paid their dues mightily, and they encouraged their children, the next generation, go to college, have a better life, an easier life. And 100 years later, my grandmother sat in an English second language class in New York, and I'm teaching English second language classes to adults in New York. And it'll always be the same and it'll never change. I don't have a lot of Japanese students. Why? Because the economy is always good, so they don't need to leave. People leave their country, leave their families, leave their friends, leave their culture for hopefully a better life. My own wife is Korean. She worked doing nails in Korean nail salons and now is a home health attendant. You're not going to get rich doing that. But if you don't have, excellent English skills, it's tough out there. So, English second language classes are important and funding for them and, community organizations that have them. It's very important. And, giving back to the community, teaching, in organizations like this, volunteering. There's a lot of beautiful people out there. You turn on the news and there's nothing but a barrage of bad news. But there are people. I have people in my building. I have a 93-year-old woman who devotes herself to helping stray animals. Really. My wife and I have two rescue kittens that were living under a car, freezing. One of their siblings had part of a tail ripped off, sleeping in a car engine,
Mm.
and we adopted these two kittens and we love them. So there's people out there doing that kind of work. And I encourage people, we love these cats like babies, and give a loving home to a stray animal, cat, dog, rabbit, whatever it may be. Um, I had a house rabbit years ago.
Oh,
Lovely pet, very social. People don't realize.
how long have you
So,
had it?
yeah, you know, give back, whatever it is,
Well, why do you feel passionate about giving back to your community?
because my father never broke 25 grand. He was a New York City yellow taxi driver. And we moved, when we moved, our rent tripled from Brooklyn to Queens, 1974. And it was a struggle for him. And I know, and even as a teacher, my first year teaching, I made 8,000 a year my first year teaching. It's a long time ago, but still. Um, the point being, a lot of people struggle, and a lot of people, I know people that work full time and still go to food banks. It's tough out there. The average rent in Queens, New York is 2,900 a month. Do the math. You're looking at 35,000 a year just in rent. So that becomes a two-income household. One person can't do that unless they're making really good money. That's average 2,900. That means half is higher. So there's a lot of people struggling in the world, and I know people who were once homeless who are now doing very well. You know, people pull themselves out of bad situations, and so, give back any way you can. And I like to contribute to GoFundMe's for indie artists and things like that because a lot of the projects are done on a shoestring, and or they can't get done because they just don't have the money. There's a movie called Once. It's a beautiful indie film about street musicians in Europe, and they shot it on 120 grand, which is nothing, full-length feature. And they won the Oscar that year. I think it was 2007, if I'm not mistaken. They won the Oscar for Best Song. And the actors, who are also the singers, they play musicians in the movie because they're real musicians. They said in front of billions of people, they said, create art. Create art. And it's another way to change the world, really. And follow your muse, follow your passion, help people. I'm much older than you. When you get older, what you realize, what's really important, friends and family. Friends and family, not how big your house is, how expensive your car is. You don't see me dripping in jewelry or anything. What's real? I got my Bruno Sammartino shirt on. You know, I'm not. I'm not looking to impress anybody. What you really find is important: friends, family, following your muse, helping people, finding some degree of spirituality, which doesn't have to be religion. I practice Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, peace of mind, and helping people. When you help somebody, when you give somebody a gift, when you give somebody a Christmas present, birthday present, whatever it is, it actually lets off hormones, endorphins, like you're at the gym and you feel good. You feel good helping people. And that's what's really important.